Okay, what I'm working on here today is a 2012 Ford Escape with the 2.5 liter engine in it. And down here we're going to replace the water pump. Before you start working on this, you want to make sure it's completely cold, the engine. And then it's hard to see down here on the driver's side. On the radiator, there is a drain down there. We're going to go ahead and take the little splash shield off underneath and loosen that up. Drain as much of the coolant as we can out of here. Okay, to take this guard off here, there are 6 10mm bolts that we're going to go ahead and remove. Up there and on the front. Okay, I got those 6 bolts out. There is one push pin way up on the top there. You don't need to remove it. And now the thing is down. Okay, I have a pan here to catch the antifreeze. To loosen that plug up, I have a 19mm on a short extension. I have my pan there to catch most of the antifreeze, and to get it to drain, you will have to remove the cap on your overflow bottle. Okay, now with the serpentine belt still attached, I'm going to take a 10mm and loosen up the bolts for the pulley. Okay, I have a serpentine belt tool with 13mm on it, and it is down there on the tensioner pulley. We're going to push this towards the front of the car and release the tension, and I'm going to take and slip the belt off on that pulley there. Okay, now that I have that belt off of there, I'm going to go and take these 3 10mm bolts out and hold that pulley on, and then we're going to take the bolts that hold the water pump off. Okay, I got those 3 bolts out. I did have to take and use a wrench because my socket ran up against here and there wasn't enough room, so you will need to use a wrench to get those out. Just to give me a little extra room, I'm going to go and remove this idler pulley. There are 2 10mm bolts that bolt into the block there, or the head, and when you put it back in, make sure you don't put it in the upper holes, it goes in the lower holes, because it will fit up here. Now that I have that idler pulley out of the way, I can go down here. I'm going to go and spray this down, some brake cleaner, and then I'm going to take an 8mm, take those 3 bolts out. Okay, these 2 bolts here, and there's one on the other side here that you won't be able to see with the camera. Take those 3 out. Okay, with those 3 bolts out, what I do is take a little pry bar here, or if you have a long screwdriver, you can put it on there, and just gonna hit it a couple times. There will probably be a little bit of coolant that comes out, so you'll want to have your catch pan underneath that. Okay, now that that's out, what I'm going to do is take a rag with a little bit of brake clean on it and go in here, clean that surface up, and make sure that the O-ring seal is not embedded in here. Okay, got our new water pump here, and there is little plug on the bottom. That's how you know it's on the bottom there. That goes in there. So what we'll do is dip our fingers in the coolant there, lubricate this O-ring, and now we're ready to install it. Okay, I set it in there, and I started 3 bolts by hand. So you can see there's a little gap there. I'm going to tighten this one, then the one on the other side. I'm going to keep going till they're all snugged up. Okay, got them all snugged up. So now I don't know if there is a torque spec on here, but be careful, you're going into aluminum here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get them nice and snug, probably about 30 foot-pounds, and then we'll go ahead and put that pulley on. And those are all tightened up. I'm going to put that pulley on and get those as tight as I can. Just it'll start spinning, but then I'll tighten them up once we put the belt on. Okay, got all those tightened up as best I can with holding the pulley and tightening it up. So now we'll go ahead and put our idler pulley back on. But if you noticed, there's 2 sets of holes on this particular engine. It goes on the bottom too. Okay, now that I have that idler pulley on there nice and tight, we're going to go and look at our decal here and thread the belt on there, and then we'll put the belt on, put the tension on. Okay, got the belt on. Now I'm going to go ahead and snug these up on that pulley. Okay, I got those tightened up. Now we'll go and tighten up our drain plug in our radiator. Okay, I want to snug up the drain plug, and it snapped off. With all the heat and everything, a lot of times these get pretty brittle, but don't worry about it. If it breaks off, it'll be sealed, and if you need to undo it, you can just put a flat blade screwdriver in the radiator where this plug was and loosen it up. These are replaceable. Many a times when you're working on your cooling system, you get a lot of air trapped in the heater core, and this system here works on compressed air, and what it'll do is suck all the air out of the cooling system. All your hoses will be sucked flat, and then we'll go and hook up this hose here to our cooling bottle, open the valve, and it'll suck all the coolant into the system to refill it. Okay, I'm working with a 6-gallon compressor, so I had to turn it off. So I'm going to hook it up again, turn this valve. It should go into the red, and then we're going to turn that valve off. Okay, I didn't have a strong enough compressor. It kind of peaked out around there. So what I'm going to do is, I have this attached. I'm going to stick the end of it into my bottle of coolant, open that valve, and then it'll suck it in. Put our next bottle of coolant in there and then open the valve, and then we'll see if it's topped off. Okay, it sucked as much as it could in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and start the vehicle, put the heater on full. Okay, on the driver's side I'll go and put these 6 screws in here, hold this panel up. Please properly dispose of your used coolant. It is toxic to humans and animals. Okay, took it for a little test drive. My heat wasn't all that good, so I pulled over. I ran it at 4,000 RPMs and it pushed the air that was trapped in there. Looking down here, looks good, no leaks.